y'all, welcome back to Restless Chipotle Kitchen. I'm Mary, and today we are gonna make an easy, super simple 2-ingredient bread. That's right, just 2 ingredients get you a soft, fluffy loaf of sandwich bread. So let's get started. The first thing we need is 3½ cups of self-rising flour. And you want to use a self-rising flour that has a low protein. I think White Lily has the lowest protein that I know of, but it's not available in all parts of the country. What you want to do is you want to look at the side down here and down, I think it's at the very bottom where it says protein. The very bottom where it says protein. This one has 2 grams of protein, and you don't want it more than like 3 grams. Do your best to find the self-rising flour with the lowest protein possible. You want high protein for yeast breads, low protein for quick breads, okay? And this is a quick bread, very quick. Okay, we're gonna put 3½ cups of self-rising flour in the bowl, and I'm just gonna stir it up a little bit so I don't have to sift it. You wanna measure it softly. What I do is I'll sift it a little bit in the flour bag. I'll put it in like that. The reason I have a bowl under it is so that it can catch all the extra. And then I'm just gonna smooth that out. So that's 1. And also it makes a bigger mess, and y'all know how much I like a mess. There's 2. My mom used to not let me in the kitchen because I was a messy cook. I didn't learn to cook until after I left home. And I mean, look at me, you can't blame her. And then we need 1/2 cup, which I'll just take out of here. And half, so 3½ cups flour. Self-rising flour has baking soda or some kind of leavener and salt in it mixed in with the flour. So that's all. You don't need any more leaveners to make it rise, okay? That's what makes it so easy. That's what keeps it 2 ingredients. I'm gonna use sour cream. Some people use Greek yogurt or regular yogurt. Some people use buttermilk. Some people use milk. And I've got some other recipes coming up I think you'll be interested in. But for today, we're gonna use my old standby, which is sour cream. The difference between sour cream and milk in this recipe is that milk gives kind of a chewier consistency, and sour cream gives a fattier, fluffier consistency. So I do have some other recipes that are coming up, and some will be with milk, but for this particular one, I love the sour cream in here, so try it this way. This is measured for sour cream, so if you want to substitute yogurt or something like that, the measurements are going to be different, okay? So this sour cream, a good sour cream, full fat, pure sour cream, good stuff. We're going to need 1½ cups of the sour cream. And you kind of want, when you measure sour cream, you probably already know this, but it bears repeating. Press it down so that you get a good solid batch of it in there. So there's 1 cup and 1/2 cup. That's literally all that's going to go in there. I have my oven preheating at 350 degrees. You want to start preheating before you start this, because once the liquids get in the flour, the leaveners are going to start to work. And if you have to wait too long between the time you mix it up and the time you put it in the oven, you're going to lose some of the rise. So whenever you're working with baking soda or baking powder, make sure that you get whatever it is in the oven as soon as possible after you mix it together, unless your recipe tells you otherwise. Once you have your ingredients in your bowl, your self-rising flour and your sour cream, you're just going to mix them together until it forms a dough. And it's not going to be like a quick mix. You're going to just keep pushing the sour cream into the dough, and it's going to get shaggy and dry looking, and you're going to think, this is never going to come together, but it does. It does. It's going to be thick like a soft biscuit dough. It is not going to be like a pourable batter. If you've mixed all of your sour cream in and it still looks dry and crumbly like this, then you can add a tablespoon or 2 of milk or water. And what you'll do is you'll just add, like you were doing pie dough, you'll just add a little at a time, just a drizzle, just until it starts to hold together. To be honest, this took 3 tablespoons of water, because if anything's gonna go wrong, it's gonna happen while I'm doing a video. But I like to leave these in as teaching moments, because sometimes I'll say, oh, just add an extra tablespoon of milk or 2 extra tablespoons of water or whatever. And you'll find that you need to add a little bit more. It's okay, go by the texture, not by the measurement exactly. You want it to get to the point where it comes together that you can turn it into a ball of dough like that, that will hold together, okay? Now we're just gonna spray our loaf pan. This is an 8.5 by 4.5, I think. 8.5 by 4.5, I'm pretty sure. You just wanna get that sprayed with no-stick cooking spray. Once you get the dough to come together, just knead it just a tiny bit. This is gonna give it a better texture, and it's just gonna look a lot better. And then kind of roll it into a loaf that's gonna fit your pan. Put your loaf in there, and there we are. Now, one thing I like to do is before it goes in the oven, I wanna make sure it has a pretty shape, so I want it to sit up a little bit. Before it goes in the oven, I like to brush it with some butter, and depending on what I'm planning on doing with it, sprinkle it with just a tiny bit of flaked salt or sugar. Tiny bit, not a lot. It helps the crust stay crispy when it comes out of the oven. It's really good. Okay, we've got our loaf, and it's getting ready to go in the oven. It'll be in there for between 50 and 60 minutes. And I will check it by putting a Insta-read thermometer down in the center. It will read between 195 and 200 degrees when it's done, okay? All right, so we're gonna put this in the oven, and I'll be back. Well, y'all, first things first, I'm trying to figure out why this company made 2 right-hand things, right? It makes me crazy, because when I go like that, they're not the same. It messes with my brain. Anyway, I just pulled this out of the oven, and you can see that it's puffed up. It looks like bread. It is not the beautifully shaped loaves that you're gonna get with yeast. It's just not. It's never gonna be. There's no way. I don't care who says it. It's not gonna happen. Could they be better than this? Yeah, but they're never gonna look like my Amish white bread or my buttermilk bread. They're gonna look like this. That's okay, because they took you 2 minutes to put them together and 55 minutes to bake. And that's what you want if you're in a situation where you need bread really fast. So the first thing I'm gonna do is turn it out of the pan. With yeast bread, I leave it in the pan to cool for about 5 minutes. But with a quick bread, which this is because there's no yeast in it, we want to take it right out of the pan so the bottom doesn't get soggy, okay? The other thing I like to do is once it comes out of the oven, I like to give it another brush with the butter. Now, some people have said that they have trouble with the top getting too brown. Mine never, actually, I could stand for it to be a little bit more brown. I'm gonna let that soak in. Do not try to cut this while it is hot, because it will crumble. You want it to cool down. I mean, it can still be warm, you just don't want it to be hot. So I'm gonna let this cool down until it's where I can cut it, and we'll be back. Well, y'all, the loaf is still warm, but it's cooled down enough. I think we can cut it without too much of a problem. It smells so good in here. There's our bread. Looks like bread, smells like bread. About to see if it tastes like bread. Tastes like bread. So good. The texture is beautiful, you can see. And when it's cool, it cuts perfectly for sandwiches. So here's the deal. I don't know how many times I've gotten to almost lunchtime and thought, oh my gosh, I'm out of bread. I don't have time to make it. Don't feel like running to the store. This to make a great sandwich. So easy, so quick, no real kneading, done in under an hour, freezes beautifully. So many variations we can make, and we're going to talk about them in the next couple of videos. All right? I hope you try it. I hope you love it. And I hope you come back next week. I love y'all, and I'll talk to you later, okay? Bye.